Welcome to the show, and I'm glad you're here because today you will hear from my guest, former NBA player and coach Sidney Moncrief. Since his retirement, he's published about a dozen books. Today, we're going to discuss his latest book, in which he explains the principles of living your best life now. I encourage you to stay right here to hear his wisdom about one of the tools you can use to live your best life now. So before I ask Sidney to join us, I invite you to join me in about a 1 minute centering exercise. It's actually a mindful exercise to prepare our mind and heart to be present and receptive during this time. And what I have for you today is a five senses check-in. It's only, like I said, it's only going to take about a minute, and it's been also referred to as a 5-4-3-2-1 technique. So during stressful times, you can use your senses to calm yourself down. So let's try it, okay? So I'm going to ask you to either close your eyes or lower your gaze and just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And so first we're going to begin with sight. So I'd like you to look around. Oh, you got to open your eyes now. Look around to find 5 things that you can see and either say them mentally or say them out loud. So you can say, I see my dog, I see the kitchen table, I see the sun shining, I see the snow falling. Okay. So those, you have your 5 things that you've seen and said. Now we're going to focus on the sense of touch. And so be aware of your body and think of 4 things you can feel right now and say them out loud or think about them. So you might say, I feel my fuzzy blanket, I feel a warm sweatshirt, or I feel the air from the fan or the heater on my face. Next, we're going to do listening. So think of 3 things you can hear right now and say them out loud or think about them. So you may hear music, or I hear the wind. I hear cars outside. What do you hear? Okay, we have 2 more. Next is smell. So say out loud or think about 2 things you can smell at this moment, okay, right now. So you may smell a candle burning, maybe breakfast time. You can smell bacon, muffins. Maybe you're doing laundry and you can feel or smell the scent of fresh laundry. Okay? And the last one is say out loud 1 thing you can taste or your favorite thing to taste. So you might be having a French vanilla iced coffee or warm coffee. My favorite is I love to taste pizza. Okay. All right. Now take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth as we end this mindful exercise. So for those viewers who are just joining us, I am Dr. Paulina Van. I'm the author of Regala Healing, a collection of 100 healing poems. And I am the host of this show, The Poetry of Healing, and we just completed a centering exercise using all 5 of our senses, which gets us out of our head where anxiety tends to live and into the present moment. Because during this episode, we will explore a simple tool you can use to enrich all aspects of your life. You are just in time to meet our guests, and I'd like to welcome to the show my friend, former professional athlete, coach, now a leader in the motivational arena, and a renowned author, Sidney Moncrief. Hi, Sidney.
Hello, how are you doing, Paula?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I feel great. I feel more relaxed and stress-free after that exercise. Matter of fact, I copied 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to use.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm just blown away the fact that you have embraced mindfulness, but we're going to get to that later. Right now, I know the viewers are anxious to um, have you introduce yourself and whatever you would like to share. And I ask you not to be too humble because you have a lot of accolades and that they're really inspiring for others. Okay.
Yes, you're right. I have a lot on my plate, and I have so many introductions that I can use. Matter of fact, I have at least 3 bios that I send out to people based on what the audience might be. So I
Mm-hmm.
would just say I'm just a good old country boy from Little Rock, Arkansas, that's been blessed to have a ton of experiences, be it pro basketball, automotive retailing, starting companies,
Mm-hmm.
having a family. I'm just a normal person, just a regular guy that's very, I guess, focused and motivated to live my best life now. That's what's really important, is just living my best life and impacting people. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so happy I have the opportunity to be on your show to talk to your guests.
Well, see, I knew you were going to be humble, so I'm going to bring this one up. Tell us about this time in
Well,
your.
if you can see the date, it's amazing how long ago it was. I was telling someone I was watching a game on TV last night, 2 nights ago.
Uh-huh.
It was Arkansas Razorbacks versus Texas A&M. My number is hanging in the rafters at Bud Walton Arena as one of the 4 numbers retired. And they mentioned my name and a little bit about my background. I'm thinking, how long ago did I play college basketball? It was so long ago. That's 1978.
Yeah.
Texas Longhorns, Arkansas Razorbacks. And it was just when we were starting to ascend to be one of the top programs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the game. I remember stealing the ball and going down. I had a knee issue. My knees were hurting a lot. And when I went up for that dunk, I remember exploding and my knee giving out just ever so slightly because of the pain. But the guy caught the photograph. He caught the essence of the photograph as if I was really jumping extremely high and dunking the basketball. The reality was that it was not one of my best dunks, but it was captured in the right light.
So if you look at the picture, you're at hip length. I mean, hip. You're parallel to the other player's hip. So that's quite a few feet off the ground, isn't it?
Well, if you're on the floor shooting up, it can make it appear like it's quite a few feet. But what really intrigues me about this photograph, this is funny.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use deodorant that would fall out when I would sweat. So if you look real closely, you'll see a little bit of foam white deodorant under my arms. But the expression on my face is what really sticks out, because if you're going to be successful in life, doesn't matter what you're doing, there needs to be a sense of urgency and intensity that you live your life. And that's what's showing on my face, is the intensity of scoring this basket with deodorant coming out of my underarms.
But okay, so I'll take it down. Let me find it and take your deodorant underarms down. See, viewers, you are in for some real talk for this episode, because Sidney does not hold back. So, if you can just review, and again, because it's inspirational. I mean, you were the defensive player of the year. How many? The first one, and how many times? And
2 times defensive player of the year.
The first 2 times.
Yeah, and 5 times defensive first team in the NBA. 5 times, kind of all NBA, top 5 players in the NBA 5 times. Just very consistent. I think the thing that impresses me the most about my career is I remember setting out, Paula, to be consistent. That was one goal I had, be consistently good at what I did. And I wasn't, I'm not being modest, I wasn't a Michael Jordan or Magic or Larry Bird. However, night in and night out, the team could always depend on me giving them consistent play and effort. So I'm very pleased with my basketball career based on the consistency in which I played the game.
And remind the viewers what position you played?
I was a shooting guard for the
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee Bucks for 10 years. I retired. That's a
Mm-hmm.
funny story. I retired, and then I came back after I retired for 1 year and played for the Atlanta Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it was very interesting because sometimes you're in a rut in life and you don't realize you're in a rut until you do something different.
Mm-hmm.
When you do something different, you're going to discover, you know what, I missed what I did, or you're going to discover, hey, I don't miss what I did. I'm very pleased with what I'm doing. And in
Mm-hmm.
my case, I felt being a professional athlete that your career won't be very long compared to most people that might work 30, 40 years
Mm-hmm.
company with an entity. As a professional athlete, you got a small window. And as you get older, your body breaks down and you can no longer play at that high level. And I was watching the game on TV after I retired, and I watched a guy was playing that played with me, and he was still playing 5 or 10 minutes per game. And I'm thinking, if he can play 5 or 10 minutes a game for someone, I can play 5 or 10 or 15 minutes for another team. And I better do it before I can no longer walk, let alone play. And that's why I decided to come back after 1 year. After 1 year with the Atlanta Hawks, I just decided, I didn't decide, the team decided, you're done. You're through. No more basketball for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was hoping you told that story because it shows that you're a risk taker. As you said, you remain consistent and you believed in yourself, because if you didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't have went back after your retirement.
Not only did I go back, talk about
Mm-hmm.
believing in yourself, I went back without a guaranteed contract. And I
Mm-hmm.
was a very high level player. I always had a guaranteed contract.
Mm-hmm.
Being death, injury, sickness, whatever. Once I was on the roster, they had to pay me my whatever I'm owed.
Mm-hmm.
For my last year in the NBA, when I came back, I told the team, I said, you know what? You don't have to guarantee me one penny. If I make the team, you pay me X number of dollars. If I don't make the team, you owe me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sweating bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last day of training camp where they actually cut players. Like, what in the heck have I done?
Mm-hmm.
But really, I had nothing to lose because I was reliving. I had gotten that passion, that love for the game back that I had lost the last probably 3 or 4 years. I had lost that, and I recognized I had lost it. But I got it back in 1 year, and that was so exciting just to go and compete and to have fun playing the game that I grew up loving all those years.
Yeah, I just think it's an excellent example of going for what you want. And that's kind of one of your principles. So let's talk about, we talked about a little bit about what you did after you retired, but you've become a prolific writer. You've published, I guess almost a dozen books. And the most current one is Why We're Here. We're here to talk about your book, and I have it right here.
Oh, yes. Beautiful.
And it's 13 game-changing principles for living your best life now. So tell us how you came to write this one.
I write all my books. My books are very short. They're very just like me. I mean, my attention span is just like not very long. And so I keep my books very short because if I'm reading the book personally, I want to be able to do, I want it to be a good read. I want it to be a short read because I need to take that information and apply it and move on with life. So I've written 12 books. And every time I get a hot button, I'm like, yeah, I need to write about that. My book before this book was Acts of Kindness. I know she had kindness on the screen. But I wanted to get people thinking more about how we can be kinder to each other. Before that, it was about leadership, hiking. I got into hiking, and as I was hiking, all these leadership principles started coming to me. So I wrote a book about hiking. This book, as I was evaluating my life, I was thinking, God, you really have a nice life. You have control over your schedule. You have great clients. You impact people, and you get to travel and do things you want to do. Sidney, you're living your best life now. And I wanted to share some principles that would allow others to start living their best life now. So that's where this book came from. The foundation was helping individuals, helping people. That's why I write books. I don't write books. I should. I don't write books to be a bestseller or to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I give away half my books because
Mm-hmm.
I just want to help people become better.
Yes. And during you hold workshops, small groups, large groups, major companies, your presence in school is phenomenal. In schools, phenomenal for the
Yeah,
kids.
we all need professional development. Adults
Mm-hmm.
need it, young people need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny, the same principles apply for both.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence is just not an adult concept.
Mm-hmm.
SEL is not just a youth concept, it's a concept for adults and young people. And that's why I try to keep most of my subjects pretty consistent, and they're actually grounded in grit. That means growth, resilience, intentionality, and tenacity. And they're grounded into the 5 components of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, viewers, if you've just joined us, we're here today with Sidney Moncrief, an NBA great, very humble, but he did phenomenal things on the court and definitely off the court as well. So today we're here to talk about his latest book, which is the 13 game-changing principles for living your best life now. And we're just about to get into the secret sauce about for living your best life now. So,
Dr. Van, before we do that, can I do something real quickly?
oh, sure.
I know we're taping, but my dog is whining. So I need to let him in the room so he won't interrupt what we're saying.
Oh, well, it's fine. I don't hear him, but feel free to let him in.
Okay. 1 minute.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come on, boy. All right. That's my dog, Kobe.
Kobe?
Say hello to Kobe.
Let's see him. Oh, he's beautiful.
Yeah, he's a beautiful dog. Say hello.
Hi. Oh, he wants to be part of this too.
Yeah. He wants to be part of it, but I travel a lot, so I see him not a lot. But when I'm home, he's like really active, and I could hear him whining. So
yeah,
he's in the room.
Let me tell you, we're all family, just having a conversation, so it is fine. And if he barks, don't worry about it. We're just, it's all good.
I'm going to chain him up and put him outside next to the tree, like we do in the neighborhood.
You know what? I know better than that. I know your love for Kobe. So we're just about, I was telling the viewers, we're just about to get into the secret sauce of this conversation. And in Sidney's latest book, there's some common themes, and many common themes like self-care and growth and mindfulness. So today, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to explore mindfulness and some of the principles of how to live your best life that Sidney has created and wrote about in this book. And so, Sidney, I'm so glad you said you had a short attention span, because I was going to say it. We've known each other for almost 16 years, and I've never known you to have a long attention span. And so when I started reading the book and you talked about mindfulness, I was like, oh, I really have to find out how this evolved. And as I got into the book, I realized how it fit you so well. And so would you share with us your definition of mindfulness? And then I'm going to talk about the difference between mindfulness and meditation, because there's a significant difference between the two.
Yes. Now, my definition of mindfulness, based on what I've read, based on what I've studied, is number one is staying in the now, which is something I did naturally already. It's like, okay, I can feel that. Basically, for me, it's about what's happening right now. My past doesn't really impact me very much. I'm not looking too far in the future other than planning. I'm very task oriented and dealing with now. My emotions right now, my focus right now. So that part was naturally me. The second part, though, was not naturally me about mindfulness, which is for some people the first part, which is understanding how you're feeling and processing information, understanding what's going on around you, what's going on inside of you, and what's going on with the other person you're engaging with at all times.
Mm-hmm.
That part I didn't get, but the more I studied, the more I read it, the more I realized it's something I needed to do. And what it has done for me, Paula, it has really helped relationships with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty much a person that, bottom line person, wasn't really processing how someone else was feeling when I was having the conversation, wasn't really internalizing how I was feeling because I knew how I was feeling. I was a little bit concerned about what was around me because that's how I am, but I wasn't really in tune to what's going on with that other person at the time of the conversation. And that is where I've improved so much, and it's helped my relationships, it's helped how I view people. And so the mindfulness concept was in the book because I use it a lot when I do my workshops, when I talk to people, and I understand the power of it since I'm using it. I understand the power of trying to understand what's going on with that other person, what's going on inside of you and in your environment.
That is a beautiful definition of mindfulness. It's practical and anyone could relate to it. So I'm going to just show the difference between mindfulness and meditation, and hopefully this will motivate our viewers to at least try mindfulness. Well, we did at the beginning of the show, I did a mindfulness exercise. So, and if you didn't see it, rewind after the show is done, and it's only a minute, and then you'll get to experience that. So mindfulness and meditation often used interchangeably, but they are related practices. So there's a key difference, and Sidney highlighted the fact of being intentional and paying attention to what you're doing in the here and now. Not only what you're doing, but who you're interacting with. And it's without judgment. And the beauty of mindfulness and meditation are both lovely practices because I support and promote both on this show. But the beauty of mindfulness, and it's a wonderful place to start, is that you can integrate it into your daily activities, like walking and eating and washing your hands, working out, sewing, painting. So it's not on a schedule, and you can do just short bits, short segments of mindfulness or paying attention. Meditation, on the other hand, is more structured. It requires a dedicated time and focus for your mental exercises, and it typically is practiced in a very quiet environment, and it involves specific techniques such as mantra, visualization, perhaps, but sustained attention on a specific point for an extended period of time. Okay, so I hope that helps. Sidney, did you want to add anything else about the differences?
No, you're the expert in that area, certainly. But I do want to add this right here. Mindfulness works better when you can anticipate when you're going to need it. Because sometimes we get into so much of our lives are social interactions with others. And sometimes we go into those interactions without being intentional. You said the right word, intentional, about how mindfulness might come into play. And what I find is once I anticipate how that person is going to feel, once I anticipate the environment, once I anticipate how this conversation or interaction is going to make me feel, I can better prepare myself for that engagement with whoever, be it a group or an individual. And you become more effective and you become more relaxed when you're interacting with someone.
Excellent. And I'm not an expert. I'm just a practitioner that brings people along.
You're an expert.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to receive that right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, I wish we could talk about all the principles in your book, but I chose 3 or 4, and I I'd ask you to talk about the principle and then how mindfulness helps to kind of reverse that. So the first one is my favorite. Well, they're all good, but this one I loved the title, and it's "Say Goodbye to Fake Friends and Hello to True Friends." So can you talk a little bit about what you were thinking around that and how mindfulness can kind of remedy that situation?
Yeah, when I created that thought, it was based on what causes people not to live their best life now. And a lot of times it's the stress and anxiety over them feeling like they're less than what they should be. Where do you get that from? Either someone is telling you that, or you're on social media and you're seeing it. You're seeing it all the time. You're just seeing that everything that you do. And that's why I'm not a, you should be on social media. I'm not a big social media person. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be on there. But if you're on there, you need to have the discipline to understand what you see in someone else's life, taking these grand vacations and having this great success. The concept of mindfulness comes in for me is I am where I am right now. If I start projecting where I would like to be based on what other people are doing, it's going to take me off track from where I need to just continue to build my business or build my personal relationships. So I need to, from that standpoint, I stay in the now. Stay in the now. The friends that I have, Dr. Van, are just real friends. I remember the first time Facebook became such a big trend. I was talking to a young lady, and she said it was a famous person, and she said, "Well, yeah, that's my friend." I'm like, "Oh, that's your friend?" Well, they're not really my friend. They're my Facebook friend. And a lot of times we have relationships that are based on people being not really our friends, they're associates, or they're our Facebook friends. The concept of mindfulness tells us we need to process that as such and deal with that person based on that information. You don't deal with them like you're really your friend when you know that there's not a real relationship there, that person doesn't really know you, they don't really care about you. Sometimes you read advice from people, even advice by me, and they don't know who I am. They might see a quote or something that I've read or written, but I don't really know their situation. I don't know them personally. And I think we get in trouble when we don't do the distinction of who's my real friend and who's my fake friend. I have very few fake friends. In fact, I have zero, because I just don't deal with people that I don't feel fits what I consider a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
So go ahead.
And then as we live longer, I hate to say that like you.
Okay, now we're not talking about age.
Yeah, in me, the discernment becomes such a big issue, because now we can easily detect who wants what, who's really trying to get an angle, who's been intentional about going in a certain direction that we really don't want to go in. We can detect those things quicker and just cut it, just move on with our lives.
Well, the other way that mindfulness comes in is that you talk about the addictive, distractive nature of being on social media and the mindless scrolling. You can just get into a trance. And so that's, you talk about why mindfulness is so important in this case.
Absolutely. Just think, because remember, whatever we're looking at in social media or even on the internet, they're going to feed us more of that. And to me, mindfulness comes in when sometimes I'm guilty. I get a feed for something I'm really interested in, and then I see something else that distracts me, and then I just keep going. And mindfulness tells me to, Sidney, why are you doing this? Or you're really on this thread too long. You need to get off this and start moving in a different direction. And that's what, otherwise your mind would just continue to be taken by the power of that information that you're getting fed. And if you don't have that awareness of, nah, this is not what I want to be doing right now, I need to go on and do what I intend to do that's going to make me more successful.
And that's where mindfulness comes in, because if you practice on a regular basis, and again, just small bits of mindfulness, you train your mind to be in the present moment. Now, we're not saying you live in the present moment 24 hours a day. You know, you won't get anything done, but you know when to navigate that to that. So the big takeaway about saying bye to fake friends and hello to true friends, I believe you said, was to cultivate real connections, real
Real
life
connections,
connections.
real relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and those are going to always be relationships that's going to benefit not only you but also the other person. To me, that's a true friend, where it's just not a one-sided relationship. Nor it's not based on prestige. It's not based on how much money they have. Not based on, I mean, people they know. It's based on you having something in common with that other individual, and you want to assist each other in living their best life now, and they want you to live your best life now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an obvious thing that you see with real friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go on to another one of your principles, another favorite, and that is say goodbye to the past and hello to the present.
Yeah.
Tell us how mindfulness helps.
That's one of those concepts that's really easy to say, and I'm normally very careful when I deal with that issue with people, when you're just talking to them or you're doing a seminar or workshop, because the level of trauma in individuals is so varied, right? And sometimes most time it goes beyond just the obvious. Is something deeper there. But in general, what I have to learn, and Paula, you know this, is everyone's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. You know, we all have our own demons, our own burdens to carry. We have our history, our past, our secrets, and all those things are going on. But the bottom line is, at some point, the concept of mindfulness will just encourage you to stay right here. When your mind starts drifting back on things that people have done to hurt you, or the trauma that you suffered, that's real. Can't take that away. Mindfulness causes us, or me, to say, okay, you need to keep this right here and just work on what's in front of you. Don't look back too much. I've had so many successes, so many failures in my life. And the beauty of me is, a failure to me is just like success. You just forget about it. You keep moving on. It's like in basketball. I really have to, it's always about, people say, what's important is your next shot. In basketball, did you make that last shot? It's not important the shot you made last week, or you say you're gonna make shots next week. Is right now. That's the beauty of basketball and sports. It's about, what have you done for me now?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's a very important concept when you talk about putting your past behind you and staying in the now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, would you mind sharing one of your failures?
Oh yes. When I left the NBA and I had a automotive dealership, I had a dealership for probably 17 years or so, and I wasn't a great manager. I was a very good entrepreneur. In other words, I could take a concept, develop it, get it going, but I wasn't a manager. I wasn't a person that had the patience to manage the day in and day out parts of a business. That's why I only have one employee. It's just me. I can manage me, but I didn't have, I didn't have patience with other people. And so I had a dealership that failed. We just ran out of money, and it was a huge failure after years of doing well. And throughout the course of that, I had maybe 3 career changes. I had a divorce. I had to file bankruptcy. I had all this stuff going on, and people would look at me and they would say, I can't even tell anything that's going on in your life. And I'm like, well, it really isn't. Life is happening. Bad things have happened. I didn't go into all this with them, because pretty much I like to keep my thoughts positive. But all that was happening, but no one, if they just saw me, they did not see the stress or strain anywhere in my body or my face or my demeanor, or how I interact with people. And guess what? I didn't really feel it.
You're amazing at that. I don't know what's going on inside of you, but I know outside, no matter how the world is in disarray or how the situation is in disarray, you keep it together.
Yeah, and it's not anything fake. It's not anything that I can just point to and pat myself on the back. That's just who I am. And I always like to see that there's going to be a positive outcome, somehow, some way. And I always look back also of all the good things I've done, all the times I had a ton of money, all the times my companies have done well. I didn't moan about that, right? So why should I moan about when things fall apart? Because I'm going to say this word. The word is confidence. Say it one more time. The word is confidence. I just had the confidence that I could do something and create something that it was going to be okay. Would it be like it was? Probably not. Would it be to the point where I could live my best life now? Yeah, I could do that. I had confidence that I could do that, which made it a lot easier for me to go through what I went through.
Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that, and the fact that being in the here and now is so neutralizing, comforting, reassuring, because you can't, you have regrets in the past. And like you said, some folks, and I know I've been through a lot of trauma, you can't discount it, but you can't change it. So being in the here and now and intentional is very important and can be very satisfying. So
yeah, it takes stress off.
Yeah.
We're human. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have successes. We're going to have failures. And all that matters is really how we process and deal with those issues. Nothing's permanent. We know people that had a job yesterday. They don't have jobs today. We know people that had relationships that they loved yesterday. They don't have them today. Life evolves in such a way that it's going to always throw us something that we're at bat, ready for that fastball, right? And throws us a curve. So that's how life is. We have to just be ready for that and adapt to it.
Absolutely. So I just want to say, for those viewers who have just joined us, today on this episode, my guest is Sidney Moncrief, and he has written his latest book. Is about, you think I'd have the title memorized, but
I don't have it memorized. I know you don't.
13 game-changing principles for living your best life now. And so we just covered two, say goodbye to fake friends and say hello to true friends, and also say goodbye to the past and a hello to the present. So Sidney, I'd like to go into, I think this next one feeds right into the last comments you made, and that is say goodbye to discontent and say hello to gratefulness. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, and people are different. But I've always, I think instinctively, and this is probably not intentional, just who I am. I've always just appreciated things that have happened in my life, good things, and I always revert back when something bad happens, of things that have been very good that have happened year in, year out, and you just take those for granted, like it's a given. That's how life is going to be, but it's not a given. But when you start looking at those as not being a given, then you have a great appreciation, and you're more grateful for the positive things that have happened or that, quote, will happen in your life. And you're not really as focused on the woe is me concept of all the things that are going wrong in your life. That's also part of the concept of mindfulness. That's also as a mindset. And I want to add to that. I'm going to ask you a question because I know I'm the host now.
Okay. All right. You got it.
It's not a trick question, but we have a mantra statement with my company, grit. Grit is just embedded in everything that I do, and that's growth, resilience, intentionality, and tenacity. And as most people, when you have companies, you're always looking to do better. So my theme for 2024 was grit. And I said, well, how can I expand on grit? And I decided to steal from the rise and grind concept. People say rise and grind. That's a concept that's been out for a while. And I like, you want to get up and just do great things and just get on your grind. When I started processing that, number one, I had to say, well, what's the definition of grind? Because when you ask people what does grind mean, sometimes you get a negative answer to that, especially if they're generation X or Z. It's going to definitely be negative about too much work and too much effort and not self-care and all the things that goes with grind. So I said, okay, grind is going to be important with grit. and resilience and grind. So I said, how does resilience and persistence differ? Right? Because on the surface they seem the same, but they're not the same. So I went to my new girlfriend, which is Maya, OpenAI, and
she's true. She'll be really reliable for you.
She doesn't talk back. She does everything I asked her to do without any talk. She just gives me the information, no heat or anything else. So, and I thought it was very interesting that those two words worked so well together, but they're different concepts, right?
Yes,
they're different concepts. And so when I have rise and grind as part of grit, and that's, to me, it encourages me to, when I need to do something, rise and get it done, have the persistence getting things done. And I said, well, isn't that like having the resilience to get it done? It's not. No. It's different than resilience. So I just want to share that tidbit. Resilience with the audience. Resilience is a quality that is your ability to bounce back from setbacks, and this is very important, and adapt to changing circumstances and maintain emotional strength through all of that. Isn't that amazing?
It is. And tell them about so you said, why am I blanking? You're saying resilience and persistence. So define persistence.
Persistence is just, that's a work. That's the mundane task of something that you have to do every day to become successful. The persistence of making a cold call, the persistence of working on reports, persistence of getting something done. That's a day in and day out. That's the grind part of it. That's the work part of resilience that helps you to become resilient. Resilience is through persistence in anything that you do. So those are the main differences. It says persistence suggests putting consistent effort, often repetitive and challenging and boring, to achieve a specific goal. Yes.
Those are excellent examples and descriptions. So what was the question for me?
No question for you.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going
to ask you a question. Which one would define your life more, persistence or resilience?
I would say resilience, because I've been knocked down so many times, and the confidence, and that's a quality that we share, the confidence that I have and the values that were instilled in me by my mom and my dad. There's no other choice but to be resilient. Brush yourself off, get back up, get out. I get out of my feelings and just go on to the next.
Yeah, and then knowing you for 15 years, you add to that your persistence.
Yes.
Because persistence is like a little nagging thing, whatever. I'm not calling you a nag. It's a persistence.
Okay. Now there are thousands of people that are witnessing.
Well, what I am saying is, if you have a task to get it done, you're going to get it done. It doesn't matter if you irritate someone or not. Wouldn't you say that? It's like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get an answer to this question that I have.
Yes.
I'm going to have a person, this service person, come out and take care of what they should take care of. The persistence sometimes or normally separates someone from being just average to being great.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up and included that, because it's really, those are qualities you need to live your best life as well. So thank you for including
that. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, I actually had used it for something else. I was going through my notes this morning. I came across it again. I'm like, well, if I know you're about helping people grow and become better and living in the now, living their best life now, then we should definitely understand those concepts. And the other thing I want to add, nothing to do with what we're talking about. I did a presentation on last week to a small group in Wisconsin. And I was talking about rise and grind, the grind that it takes to be successful. And this young lady, I was going around to the different tables and said, hey, everything okay? She said, well, I have a question. She was maybe 20, 25 to 30 of that generation. She said, I'm kind of confused because in your book, and she was really studying the book, you talk about being successful in the grind and working hard and getting up early. And the video I showed was basically rise and grind. It was like they were telling people this is what you need to do to be great, and involved a lot of work. And she said, and that's somewhat in conflict with self-care and all the other things that are really important in life. What should a person do? And
Great question.
I said, I told her, I said, that's a great question. Tell you what, I want you to ask that question so everyone can hear it in the room. Mike, she asked a question, and I said, my philosophy has changed over the years. I used to say everyone should be great, everyone should aspire for great things, greatness, everyone should rise and grind. I don't any longer. I said, you determine how great or how successful you want to be, how much commitment you want to put in anything, and that will determine the results you get out of life. And what I have realized is the results that I might want, someone else might not want it. And that's okay. And I told them that. If you want to be average, I said, that's okay. It's really okay to have an average life. Even though we teach inspiration and motivation, people should be the best that they should be. But in theory, that's not really the case. You be as good as you want to be. And so if you want to be great, here are the things you have to do for excellence. All the things in the book, all the things that's on this video. But if you don't want those things, that's okay.
I love it. You're leveling the plane that there's no, right or wrong when it comes to how you want to live your life. What is your best life? It's not what is
absolutely
somebody else's best life, but what is your best life?
What's your best life? But don't be strolling on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and all those different X and see people live in a certain way because they're on the grind and you're not, and you're pissed off about it because you made the decision that's not what you want, and that's okay. But don't expect the benefits of someone that's doing all these extra things. You won't get the benefits. You're going to get the average benefit or below average benefit. But if that's what you want, that's okay with me. It's your decision. It's your call.
It reminds me, and you don't know this because I haven't talked to you in a while, but I'm taking acting classes. And and that's a long story, but I am taking acting classes. And one of the, I'll say mantras of the school is, I am enough. I am enough. And so what you talked about of, your best life is your best life reminded me of that. So Sidney, we're coming to a close, and I just like you have another principle, and your former book, or your last book before this one, was about kindness. And so you have a principle of saying goodbye to indifference and hello to kindness. So can you talk a little bit more about how that is important and the role mindfulness plays in that?
Yeah, and it's so important if you want to live your best life, to me, to be kind, because when you're kinder to people, acts of kindness brings about benefits. Really, acts of kindness is really being selfish, because when you're kind, you're going to get a positive return on that kindness, some tangible positive return on your kindness. But it takes mindfulness for you to be, for me at least, to be in that kind mindset. Now, I'm a giving person, so it doesn't take a lot of mindfulness for me to be generous with to people. That's natural for me. But maybe a smile here or there. I'm not a smiling person. Maybe a kind word when someone needs it, because I'm not always in the mind frame of feeling that other person like I should be, and mindfulness brings that about. Then it's been so liberating. Matter of fact, my book before this book was about acts of kindness. I wrote it because there's so many people that are kind in our world, but guess what? They're drowned out by all this chaos and confusion that we see on social media. Yet we have 80% of the people are kind and nice and generous, and they do good things for people. we don't hear that enough. So I wanted to write a book about kindness, and mindfulness plays into that, because just like instinctively, naturally, our DNA, we have kindness is embedded into our DNA. So is being unkind. They're both fighting one another constantly. And so mindfulness allows one to shine brighter than the other. And the benefits of that, making another person feel great for that day, or recognizing their efforts for that day. I use it when I travel a lot, and I use it for selfish purposes, which I guess it's okay. Sometimes.
Okay.
And I tell young people, I tell adults, there's 3 benefits of smiling. One, it's over your lifetime. People that smile more than people that don't smile more. The people that smile more make more money. They get promoted more often. They live longer. They feel better. There's so many different benefits of smiling. And so when I travel and I have to ask for a better seat at the airport, or a better room at the hotel, or a better place at a restaurant, the power of smiling, being nice and kind to people guarantees you just about that your request, if available, will be fulfilled.
Oh, there is. I'm so glad you brought up about smiling, because all that you mentioned, research has supported that those who smile more are seen better in interviews. They more often get the job. And but the key is, Sidney, it has to be an authentic smile.
Yeah. Yes. But fake it till you make it. If you don't have I mean, that's one that is one that you can't fake until you make it. Yeah. Because people are not. I'm not a natural smiler. Mm-hmm. But in certain situations, the concept of mindfulness, I'm about to do something. Just I'm about to go to the ticket counter. Mm-hmm. Mindfulness tells me, Sidney, how are you feeling right now? Mm-hmm. I'm not feeling great. I'm kind of like chill mode. Well, Sidney, you need to smile.
Yeah.
Sidney, you need to recognize what's going on around that person at that ticket counter. Is it chaos that day? Do they seem like they're in a good mood, or they're in a bad mood? What sincere words can you give them or say to them to make them feel better about their day? Right? Mm-hmm. How's the environment around you when you go to the ticket counter? It's a long line of people. It's not very many people. All those things are taking place before I even step to the counter. Mm-hmm. It's been intentional. And then now I could just say, hey, I see you're having a great day today. Or, oh, I see it's a very difficult day. You appear to be handling everything very well. Mm-hmm. Just a smile and a nice comment, a compliment makes all the difference. And what if I leave with nothing, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Nothing's more powerful than that person just smiling. Nothing's more powerful than a very angry, nasty customer service person that you have just encountered. You say something nice to them to make them smile when when you looked at them the first time, you said there's no way they would ever smile. They never smile. They never say anything nice. And you say something, they go, thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. That's powerful.
It really is. And smiling is infectious. It is. So, Sidney, we could go on for another hour at least. But this time to close the show. And I wanted to do some affirmations, which are really mindful statements related to the principles that Sidney shared with us today. So for living your best life. So I'm going to say a positive affirmation, and then remember that it is a powerful way to train your mind to shift away from negative thoughts and foster a more optimistic, positive outlook on life. So there are just 4 affirmations. And so I'm going to say it, and then you can say it out loud, or you can say it mentally. Okay. So the first one.
Why don't you say it, Paula, and I'm going to steal it and use it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So the first one is about true friends. I use social media mindfully and in moderation, prioritizing real life connections and experiences. I use social media mindfully and in moderation, prioritizing real life connections and experiences. The second one is saying hello to the present. I am not defined by my past. Each day is a new opportunity to create the life I desire. I am not defined by my past. Each day is a new opportunity to create the life I desire. The third one is about gratefulness. Every day I find joy in expressing gratitude for both the big and the small blessings that enrich my journey. Every day I find joy in expressing gratitude for both the big and small blessings that enrich my journey. And the last one is about kindness. Kindness is my language. In every interaction, I choose words and actions that uplift and inspire others. Kindness is my language. In every interaction, I choose words and actions that uplift and inspire others. Um, Sidney, I just want to say to you, I want to thank you. And if you didn't get them all, I can send them. I can send them to you.
I got them.
You got it? So I just want to thank you for being with us today and inspiring us, cheering us on to learn how to live our best life, what's best for each and every one of us. So what would be, what are the last words you'd like to share with the viewers before we end today?
All right, so let me go through my book real quick and get one thing I would like to say that I've forgotten that I've written.
And tell me the page. Tell me the page.
Okay. It's something that, yeah. It's something I was looking at this morning that here's what I want to say. Page 22 of the book, right? And I want to encourage everyone to say goodbye to procrastination and say hello to getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
Say goodbye to procrastination. It could be making a phone call. It could be doing a project. It could be a career change, whatever. Say goodbye to procrastination and say hello to getting things done.
Well, Sidney, on that note, a great note, we're going to end this show right now. But again, I want to thank you so, so much. And at the end of the show, there'll be a slide for the viewers to be able to get your book and all the other books and resources you have. And then I'm going to drop it in the chat after the show. So viewers, go ahead.
Yeah, just go to the website. Not only my books, but the workshops that we provide is also on the website. So I think it's nothing like being in front of people. Books are okay, but getting in front of people has power. So thank you, Dr. Van, for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed being a part of this show. Keep healing people.
I'm so glad you were here. So viewers, so Sidney, I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, so thank you for being with us today. And I just want to invite you. I'm here every first and third Sunday, right here at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I encourage you to like, share, and tag others so that they can get the inspiration for how each and every one of them can live their best life. And I'm sending you love and light until I see you again.